Welcome back to BLOCKTV. It's time now for Trader's Take. And as the markets dip well into the red with Bitcoin below 10K, it's time to check in with BLOCKTV's technical analyst Joe Saz from New York. Joe, it's looking like a bit of a dark day. What can you tell us?
Yeah, there's kind of a lot going on, and I've been excited to talk about this stuff, particularly the effect of the Bakkt launch and some other things, some technical things that are potentially leading us into a little bit of a trend reversal here out of the 9,000s. Hopefully, I mean, I haven't taken any positions yet, but it's looking a little interesting. And let's jump into the charts and let me show you what I'm looking at here. But the Bakkt thing, I just wanted to comment on that. I think we were looking at something like 71 Bitcoin volume on day one. I think 710K less is like pitiful. So I've been saying for a long time, I don't think institutional money is going to smart, big money is going to be interested in playing in a space rampant with manipulation. So I am actually okay with that. It doesn't come as a big surprise to me, and I don't think it's going to change much. All I think it means is that a lot of these doors need to close as far as regulatory uncertainties and as far as straight up criminal activity, as the New York Attorney General is investigating potential schemes like tether manipulation. So the whole Bakkt thing, the institutional money, FOMO and all this stuff, it was all just psychological. It did not play out in the charts whatsoever. Let's get our hands dirty. Let's jump in. All right. So Asher, this might be a recurring guest, but maybe not. This is the 5-second chart. I just wanted to show an example of now a trend reversal and something that I believe could start to be one. Remember how the other day on the 5-second we were noticing that on the way down it was all of the volume down here in these red volume candles. Days ago, over and over, all the downside moves were red and all the upside moves had zero volume, but they were gigantic price moves. Now, for once, we have a change, and this is promising. So we have a move to the downside with less liquidity and buyers sweeping it up and then holding a nice price range. Now, let's get back out of here, out of the 5-second to the 15-minute. But it's great to see that bulls have some fight left in them. And all that stuff was probably around here somewhere. Probably this run up right here is probably, I think, when the bulls started taking over. That's where the 5-second chart was. But you can see we've really only gone sideways from that. So that's a little bit uncomfortable for me. These sequential nines are playing out very well. So if you're trading, things are looking okay. Obviously, you have a dud here. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that for now, it looks like it's possible that we're headed for a trend reversal. We're going a little bit sideways, and within this descending triangle, we've had this happen a couple times. So let's switch to the daily and look at this for a greater perspective. We are on a 9 buy. We had very bullish news that did absolutely nothing for the space. I mean, it is a huge dud, the Bakkt launch news. Like that, it just did absolutely nothing. It could be a slow start, let's leave room for that. But the external variable did nothing to the price. We've had a couple scenarios where we've bottomed out a little bit, gone, spinning top, and breakout. So I want to be bullish right now. I really do. I'm not convinced yet though. So I'm going to sit out, wait. Let's just show you why I'm not convinced. The liquidity in the order book over here. This is the liquidity side. And look at this immediate response to the upside action. I mean, we're going sideways right now on a very bullish indicator, especially on the daily. But you can see we have robust liquidity, 30, 20, 30, 50 packs, and $10 aggregations up the line. Sellers are chasing the book to the downside, which is kind of bearish in my eyes, especially if they're chasing the book to the downside with a lot of liquidity versus buyers who are pretty low liquidity up until around, let's see, I think it was 9,600 flat. In this candle, we hit 9,600 flat. So anything 9,600 and up is dynamic movement. It's not static support. It could move at any moment, like all these twitching numbers are. These are all people that are interested potentially in buying or selling, or interested in making the market, the book look robust, so that it'll trigger market buyers or market sellers to act to market buy or market sell, as simple as that. So Bitcoin's looking a little neutral right now to me, and I'm not ready to make the leap and go bullish just yet. And I'm also not ready to go short just yet. I'm just in a very uncertain territory, but that's pretty much where we are right now with BTC. The dominance chart is looking good. We're on our way back into the 70s, holding it nicely, and everything else seems to be responding in kind. Maybe a little bounces, but I'll tell you what, Asher, this does not look like alt season.
Yeah, it
Go ahead.
certainly doesn't look like old season at the moment. But I want to delve a little bit further into this Bakkt situation because it was an interesting one. It felt to me very much buy the rumor, sell the news sort of situation. Markets seemed very well prepared. I mean, obviously there was so much information in there sort of laid out, and those that wanted to trade on the potential for good news seemed ready to be in position. And then, whether or not it's true, the narrative seems to have taken up that it was a fizzled start, that the rocket didn't take off. Do you think that from a pure technical perspective, we're seeing that pullback playing out now of those that didn't get the rocket fuel launch that they were hoping for?
Not yet. So I think what I hear you saying is, is there the buy the news, sell the news type situation is something pretty common among traders, and is this a scenario there's two things that come to my mind when you bring that up. A is who is in the space trading. That's definitely a thing that happens in stocks. Now, is that something that definitely happens in crypto? Not quite. We didn't really fall off a cliff. The day before, I mean, there's still some uncertainty whether Bakkt had its official launch or if Bakkt had its, isolated launch. Some people are saying only 100 people were allowed to invest, but still 100 institutional investors should not have amounted 71 Bitcoin. I mean, each one of the institutional investors' sideline money like that is in the multiple millions, tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions. So I'm really surprised to see that there was only 71 Bitcoin transacted or contracts bought. But I don't know if this is a full-blown sell the news situation because if some people say the launch was technically Monday, and a lot of that downside activity happened over the course of the day as a grind, as opposed to a flash. And the sell the news flash would be something that happens the second the news hits the table and people are ready, have probably been expecting some sort of news to come out. Like an example would be the Federal Reserve interest rates. They'll say, "Oh, we're gonna talk about it for a month, and then we'll give you our decision on the X day of this month." And so everyone's kind of prepared with their finger on the trigger. And if things aren't good, then sell. If things are good, then sell. But either way, you have people with their finger on the trigger ready to go. At this point in time, we didn't have a flash. All we had was a slow, steady grind to the downside. And that put us in a much more bearish posture, closer to the bottom of our descending triangle and well beneath the 128-day moving average, which a lot of analysts were relying on to maintain a support level and maintain Bitcoin into a bullish posture outside of this descending triangle to break out to the upside and start to move up into 11, 12, and 14K again. So I don't really think this is a what I'm saying is the traders trading this space aren't quite the traders that would be trading the stock market. Those traders are definitely here, but it's just not the same psychology in this space as it is outside of it.
So then I want to switch the tone, talk about a different element of the narrative. Last week we saw, as we've mentioned numerous times, we saw what, particularly on the 18th, what people would have called the potential for an alt season. We saw particularly ETH and XRP see considerable double-digit gains. But there's been a retracement. What can we take from the charts now?
Yeah, actually, I took a look at XRP yesterday, and I could not believe what I saw. This is going full retracement. I mean, this thing's on its way down. We took the elevator up. We're taking the stairs down. Right now, we're sitting on a neutral spinning top. So, I mean, yesterday, this is what I was looking at. And this is really not bullish to me. The fact that we finally, as with other altcoins, when we fought the 50 MA and lost, we broke down violently, traded well below the long-term and intermediate-term moving averages, came up in a way to test the 200 moving average and failed, came close to it and failed, came up to it and failed, came close to it and failed, couldn't do it, couldn't do it. And now we're fighting with the 50 MA again. We had a sharp spike to the upside, and now we're closed beneath it. We had a wick, as you can see if I zoom in a little bit, hit that 50 MA and pull back. I mean, this is looking bearish. Alt season seems to have been a dud too. I don't think that it was. I never thought it was, and I think that we're looking at not only an altcoin exodus, but I think we're looking at some altcoin death in the near future, months to go probably for some of these cryptocurrencies. I think Kick is even trying to dump their Kin token or whatever. But I mean that has external variables associated with it. But XRP is definitely not looking good. Alt season probably is what got those sharp spikes to the upside. A lot of interest, and then the suckers bought in, and the smart money sold. So I guess this is just look like the technical charts are looking ugly. The external variable of alt season really kicking off is just not there. It's just like the empirical evidence of alt season kicking off isn't there. Now, could that change a week from now? Yes, obvious, like anything can. But based on what I see now, based on the psychology in the space and those fundamental questions, where is the money coming from? Why are people interested in buying and selling this asset? The answer to those questions aren't very bullish. The money is probably coming for Bitcoin in its wild run-up. It's probably coming from alts in 2018 tax money. Some of this alt money is probably coming from diehard hodlers, and obviously some of that Bitcoin money too. So, and we're talking from an organic sense, okay? So organic money only. That's the only money that I speculate is coming into the space, and altcoins are not going to be able to drive to the to these new highs or new really like unique areas without serious new money coming in. And so yeah, let's also take a look at ETH, because I know you mentioned that, and I'm kind of curious myself. So ETH is on a pretty steep pullback. We did hit a 9 sell on the daily, and now we're closed well below the 200 moving average. We literally just popped up, and we're kind of supported by it, but we wrestled it and lost. The 200 moving average is really significant to me. Long-term moving averages are more significant to most people. You can see that we were overbought on the RSI. We're returning to lower levels. I mean, that's all just technical talk. The main takeaway is alt season didn't happen, and I think anyone that bought into it is probably upset. And at some point, these people that bought up here are probably going to have to sell down here, and it's probably going to mean more selling back to this area and potentially lower lows. So I'm actually expecting this to get worse, but let's see how we react to the 50 right now. We have a wick. We're 12 hours into the daily candle. We have a wick dancing with the 50 MA. It's very possible that we can have some sort of sideways activity from here if we are supported by it, but it is trending down, and we have lost the big fight to the 200 moving average. So I'm not very bullish on this either. I think that again, when I was just explaining, the people that probably bought the top are probably going to have to sell kicking and screaming, and that means that there's a lot of people that will have to sell kicking and screaming.
One last coin I'd like to get your opinion on. We've got the launch of Binance US taking place today. Do we expect to see any action from BNB in response to that move?
What do I expect? I expect BNB to have pretty much nothing yet. Nothing, and there was no major news when they left. There's probably no major price action, and when I say no major news, I meant no major news in the sense of price action when they left. No major news in the sense of price action when they returned. I always, my thoughts on CZ creating the scam coin, so I won't go too deep into that. I don't like him. But we have a bearish crossover of the short and long-term moving averages. That's the 5200. We have the 125 curling down, the 50 curling down. 125 and 200 are probably going to meet if we keep this trajectory, and we don't just start going sideways. It's probably going to meet in by mid to late October, and that's actually that's going to be very bearish for price here. And the interesting thing is that's actually where I expect things to get pretty nasty toward the end of this descending triangle in Bitcoin. Back to BNB though, it just looks like across the board we're looking at similar activity, maybe an alt season pump, some hopium, and pipe dreams gone to waste. I think that pretty much happened across the board. Justin Sun trying to do the same thing failed. I mean, it's just not looking good. AOS daily, a higher high, now a lower low, fighting underneath the 50. It's just not looking good. I don't think alt season is up at pat right now, and I don't think it's gonna. Alt season isn't something that's gonna come in until you have tons and tons and tons of stupid people coming in that have no idea about the space. All they know is what a friend tells them to do. Hey, buy some Bitcoin, send it to this exchange, or like nowadays on Coinbase, you can buy altcoins directly. It used to just be Ethereum, Litecoin, and were the only two alts that you could buy. But maybe now you can have, XRP and, all these other cryptocurrencies. I don't know their full basket, but what I'm saying is what altcoin season needs is everyone to start talking about cryptocurrency, and then for people in different camps that probably have no idea what they're talking about, telling their friends and family to be like, oh, this one's valued at fractions of a penny. It's totally like its all-time high is $4. It's worth $4 at least. So you should buy this up right now. And then like that kind of FOMO is probably what's going to instigate new money to buy alts and alts to go up from there. But until that happens, we're just nowhere near that point. We're just so far. Like Google Trends, Chinese Google, I can't remember what their Chinese search engine is, but Google Trends worldwide there's no correlation between interest in Bitcoin and price action in this run-up. There's no Chinese search engine that can confirm that maybe it was Chinese capital flight investors. This run-up is just a very insulated move, and I just don't see new money on the horizon just yet.
All right. Well, it seems like it could be a little bit of a dire time if those predictions do play out, Joe, but fortunately we'll have you there to help us look through it as it comes. In the meantime, stay with us at blocktv.com for all the latest in news and information. I'm Asher Westrop Evans. Thanks for watching.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.